This is Katana. She's got my back. She could cut all you in half with one sword stroke, just like mowing the lawn. I'd advise not getting killed by her. Her sword traps the souls of its victims. Welcome to this week's episode of Regenerate Talk.
Let me do it. Let me do it. They haven't heard my voice in so long
Alright, you got
for
it.
one of these intros. Hi, welcome back to Regenerate Talk. It's me, Teriyaki Asian. Okay, I know you haven't heard me in a while, but I just want to say, Daddy's home. Okay, Daddy's home.
Daddy's home. Daddy's
Daddy's
home.
home. Daddy's home.
Oh.
Daddy's home 1 or 2.
Usher.
Daddy's
I should have watched one of
home.
those movies instead. Anything's better than.
Daddy's home.
We'll get into it.
I ain't gonna lie to you. I totally forgot to watch Suicide Squad 2021, so I'm gonna have to go by memory with that one too.
Jesus fucking Christ! Here we go.
I was
You got
watching
two
Marcus play
flak-
Final
You got
Fantasy,
two
bro.
flakers and two real watchers.
Listen, bro.
See where the
This
line
ain't
divides.
even my retrospective, man. I'm doing better things with my fucking time. All right.
Like what? Like what?
Uh,
Playing with melting plastic?
jorking it, and let's say
Oh.
it. I mean my peanuts.
Okay.
Yeah,
Buddy.
but I have a decent memory of the Suicide Squad 2021 and Suicide Squad the OG probably less because I saw that when I was in 5th grade and I thought it was shit even back during 5th grade.
All right. Well, we have
So-
30 minutes per movie because we're covering 3. Let's not waste too much
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Let's start with the
Let's start with
cream
the
of the
positives.
crops. The first of its kind, Suicide Squad 2016, directed by David Ayer.
In quotes,
I
directed.
torture you. I'm just a sucker for pain.
Truly legendary soundtrack.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is.
Ironically, me and Marcus were playing Fortnite Festival today, and Heathens was a song that is a jam track.
That
And,
song sucks.
I
It's
know,
terrible.
yeah, it sucks. I fucking hate 21 Pilots. I hate that song. I hate. It's not good. It's not good. It's not good. I hate.
I like Purple Lamborghini just for the fact that Jared Leto's Joker is in a Rick Ross music video. I think that is infinitely the funniest thing to come out of this movie.
You think he was in character during the music video?
He probably was so fucking obnoxious. I cannot imagine how obnoxious it would have been
Oh yeah.
to be around
no
Jared
fucking-
Leto playing the Joker during a Rick Ross music video.
Yeah.
Like some chick tries to grind up on it, grind up on him or something. He's like, "Get away from me, you bitch!" Like, oh, that ass chicken's gonna get you hurt.
Yeah.
This scene
Yeah.
is really, really bad.
Bitch is very, very bad.
Oh yeah, she is, isn't she? Man, I don't really know what I can say about this movie.
Yeah, I was about to say. I think I guess Jared Leto's the best place to start off with. I have I think I'm gonna be the nicest person here when it comes to this movie because I have a weird. I have a strange amount of praise towards this movie, and not anything not anything it actually ends up doing. But I think you can read between the lines for a lot of these scenes and see what they were going for, and I appreciate that at the very least. I think Jared Leto's Joker, if you look at how he's acting physically, I think he's doing a good job in a way. He is very purposefully unnerving. That one scene where he claps the dude on the shoulders and basically scares this shit out of him. He's like, "Oh my god!" The way he keeps touching him and unnerving him, I really like that stuff. because I feel like we haven't
Mhm.
seen a Joker like be that intimately physical in that kind of way. Like obviously we've seen like with Heath
Mhm.
Ledger's version, like he'll like grab you and like stick a knife in your face, but it's not like that's unnerving in a very overt way. Where
Hmm.
Yeah.
Leto, he seems like he's trying to be unnerving in a more like subtle, like this
Gay.
guy's just a fucking weirdo.
Gay?
Yeah, I guess gay,
Yeah.
but like he's just a fucking weirdo kind of way.
Yeah.
And it's a fucking shame that all of that shit on his face
Uh-huh.
like doesn't make you focus on that, because I think when you try not to focus on the makeup and the grill and like all of the distracting elements that make up
Mhm.
his appearance, what he is actually physically doing is like pretty decent. Was it
Mhm.
worth all the dead rats, used condoms, and
Yeah.
actual bullets he sent to the cast members? No, not at all.
All of that for like what? 10 minutes of screen time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he it's so funny too because he did the same shit with Morbius. Like he was legit
Mhm.
using crutches to take a piss
Yeah.
for
Are you
no good
serious?
reason. Like,
Yeah, no,
yes,
he said
I'm
that
very.
himself.
I think other people said it too. I want to say the director said it. That like he's like, oh yeah, he took it very seriously. Like he would use the crutches to go to the bathroom and like we would have to wait. Like basically that they would have to like wait on him, and
Mm.
it's like, why? Why
Yeah.
would you do that?
All that for a scene where he walks and looks tired and says, "Hi, my name is Michael John Morbius, and I have a cure."
It's interesting.
God,
I never
what a
knew that. I
guy.
never knew. It's very interesting. But yeah, I don't know if I can agree with you on that. I can kind of agree that he kind of embodied like the physical characteristics of what Joker
Hmm.
should be.
Oh
Like
yeah.
every he's just completely unconvincing and like I think he
Yeah,
overplayed it. Like he was
yeah,
overcompensating.
Yes, yes.
yeah.
Uh,
I agree that
like
it is very intentional and it's very effortful. I just think it's too much.
Oh yeah, because you have like your Ledger Joker and to a lesser extent your fucking your Nicholson Joker who just they play it on like the low key, you know. He's like
mhm.
their
I
Joker
was gonna
is
say
like intimidating.
I feel like Nicholson is like the best like comparison in this case because he is like more gangster
Yeah.
while also being very like
Hmm.
Yeah.
traditional looking
Oh
Joker.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just felt like a lame overcompensation. Oh, whoa, overcompensation, overcompensation.
There we go.
Um, just for everything that just wasn't good. And clearly trying to live up to Heath Ledger's performance by
Hmm.
making it some kind of weird tweener thing. It was
Hmm.
Yeah,
just
especially
comes
with the
off.
voice.
I thought the voice was fine. I think it's just more so like
Well, yeah, no, it's
the
fine. I'm just saying, like, what you're talking about, like an in-betweener, like it's very Ledger-like, is what I'm saying.
yeah yeah
Yeah, and like
um
he tried to like build this mythology, and a lot of the cast members like tried to build this like mythology around like his performance and stuff, and it's like
yeah
it doesn't come out enough. Like it
Yeah.
is, yeah. I feel like it definitely like distracts like the good elements of it.
uh-huh.
But I definitely don't blame you guys for also just thinking it's like way too fucking because it definitely is. It
Hmm.
most for surely is.
Hmm.
I will say though, it's kind of interesting how like everything about like that Gotham in the DCEU works except him. Like the aesthetic, it
Yeah.
works. Like how all of Joker's henchmen and goons, I don't like using that word anymore, but his goons kind of like dressing up in like randomized costumes and
Yeah,
like stupid
Yeah.
hoods and stuff. Like that's a good aesthetic to have for the Joker, and it's I mean, okay. Whoa. I'm not saying Joker and Harley should ride around in a Lamborghini, but I'm
Yeah.
saying
Mhm.
for, for pure aesthetic's sake, it's a good thing to aspire for.
Mhm.
So when you just end up having like an absolutely dog ass actor, um, it just turns out like unimpressive, and a complete flop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that's,
I
that's what
will also give praise to again, like another on paper thing. Like I think his role in this movie is actually pretty good in terms of like he literally is just like this like wild card X factor to throw the mission off.
Mhm.
I don't
Mhm.
think again, I don't think in practice it works out that well, but I think
No.
him uh being like this X factor to the team and like throwing the whole mission off is a really good idea and would add an
Mhm.
interesting wrinkle to like what could be a straightforward mission.
Mhm.
But again, it's like he doesn't interrupt it enough to where it feels like that impactful. And I
Yeah.
think
Mhm.
it would have been more interesting if we got the original version where he like saves Harley, but then is like, "Fuck you, bitch, for making me like save you," and like he goes to all this trouble and then is like immediately like feels inconvenienced after finally saving her and pushes her out of the because that was the
Yeah,
original
I don't
version.
know
Is that he
why I
pushes her
thought
out of
he
the
did that. I feel like I saw something somewhere where he actually just pushed her out.
no,
I
always in
think
the original because I remember seeing it in theaters and like it was always just like in the theatrical version and all that. It's she just fell out.
yeah. I don't know. I feel like maybe that would have changed people's opinions on their dynamic if he straight up just kind of pushed her out
Yeah.
Oh,
instead of like
100%.
Instead of like skyrocketing Halloween costume sales.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I was
Real.
gonna say like this movie does a horrible job of which obviously it gets its own interpretation, but like in terms of capturing the abusive side of their relationship,
It's
horrible.
dog shit.
Mhm.
They
It
just
doesn't do that. It doesn't do
they're
that
Does
at all.
quite the opposite.
yeah, it's very Bonnie and Clyde and how it's presented
Yeah.
instead of
Mm-hmm.
Especially
like
that scene where it's like she's like in like her fucking jail cell and she's like drinking coffee and like the Joker busts her out and shit. It's like
yeah.
that wouldn't happen. That wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
The only
She was his queen, and God help anyone who respected the queen.
the only scene that is like where he like does something like actively harming her is when he like drives the Lamborghini into the river and she like shouts that she can't swim. But that's really about it, I would
Uh-huh.
say,
Yeah.
in terms of being overtly like negligent or abusive.
Mhm. Yeah, no, at most he's just really manipulative, but like most
Mhm.
boyfriends are in the era
Yeah,
of 2024.
it
So
feels
it's
much
like
more mutually toxic instead of him
Yeah.
being the over abuser.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's moments like that, like moments that could be like key moments, like the drowning thing, that just kind of
Mhm.
get washed away and forgotten about. Because
Yeah.
I will say though, it's kind of
this
funny. It's
movie's
kind of
editing.
funny. When Batman goes to rescue her, he like takes her out with like one punch, and she,
Yeah.
That kills me every time. It kills me every time.
it's just
Yeah.
like a quick little boop, and then she's out.
Yeah.
Oh man, that fucking kills me about it. Yeah. Um.
But yeah, nothing in this movie feels impactful or anything. I just
All right.
felt nothing
Well,
when I first
I
watched it.
I don't know if I would say nothing is impactful.
How
I
about that? Shout out that fire
I
cholo.
that was
Shout
really
out that fire
interesting.
polo.
I never really paid much attention to his character before I really watched this. That is insane. Like his character is insane. Like you want me to sympathize with this guy because he lost his temper and killed his family?
Mm.
And how he's sad about it? Like why? Like
Yeah.
that scene where Harley where they're all at the bar and Harley's like just own it at this point. You killed him, you did it. I don't know what you're feeling sorry about. It's like I can't really feel that for someone who's like well, okay, I guess they just didn't really like properly understand into how to lean into all of them being pieces of shit
Mm-hmm.
and
Not
not
at all.
necessarily understanding that they don't like not necessarily understanding that their goal is not necessarily become better people, but come out of it the other side alive. and maybe a
Yeah.
slightly changed person.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I don't know, like we'll probably make this comparison later, but like I think one thing that just really stands out between like this movie and Guns, for example, is people. I saw some people who were bothered when the Suicide Squad first came out that the when they were going to save Flag, they had killed some of the rebel soldiers. They
Mhm.
were bothered because they were innocent, and I was like, well, they're villains,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Surprise.
Yeah, and like another big
Surprise,
thing
I
that I
guess.
think the 2016 movie failed at and Gunn succeeded at was just like having these characters come together and like find some level of comfort in the fact that they're all shitty people. And
Yes,
Yeah,
that's the
no,
very
why
least
it's slightly
an
better.
understanding.
They were like terribly disjointed. Like Harley and Deadshot were the only ones that really saw eye to eye, kinda.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Boomerang didn't really do anything. Fucking I forgot his name. What's his name? The fire guy. I forgot his name, but he
I
didn't really
don't
do
know.
until he was forced into it. Like he basically had to
Yeah.
be forced into the dynamic for it.
It was
Like,
Mhm.
it is so jarring anytime I watch this movie and he's like, I already lost my family, I'm not about to lose another. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Bro,
yeah, I'm like, where did
Yeah.
that come from?
That's
Yeah,
not earned. That's
speaking of force
not earned.
dynamics, oh, I can't wait to talk about the next movie.
Oh, whoa,
We're not
whoa,
there
I'm
yet.
whoa.
just I'm not getting ahead of myself. I'm not getting ahead
Oh,
of myself. I'm just
I haven't
oh.
seen that
teasing.
one. I haven't
I'm-
seen that
we
one.
have
So
I'm
so
Seth,
you.
we have
respect one. I hate women too, but we're not there yet.
Whoa.
I know. I'm teasing it. I'm teasing it.
Listen,
yeah, I
Keeping
man.
the
know you
Listen,
viewer
man.
interested.
Tease a clitoris, you fucking loser. Anyway,
Maybe
Yo,
fucking
we should
yo,
maybe we should
chill, yo, chill, bro,
maybe
chill.
maybe we should structure this episode like how Harley structured Birds of Prey, which is fucking dog shit. And we just
Uh-huh.
keep going back and forth, and
Yeah.
we like there's no rhyme or reason.
let me get
Oh yeah,
let
this
me get
happened
like
1
an
hour
hour
ago.
into the story to tell it properly.
Yeah.
All right, back to the
Back
shittier
to the
movie.
actual movie at hand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
back to the shittier movie. But
Yeah,
I
no. I mean, no, go ahead.
I guess to add on to like the family dynamics and all of that again, and Ty, you questioned me about this because I put it on my letterboxd.
Oh,
But
that's right.
couldn't, and I stand by. I still stand by this that
Mhm.
conceptually, I think 2016 Suicide Squad had a lot more interesting things to say, or like more thematically relevant things to say, like based on its source material than James Gunn's Suicide Squad did.
Ooh.
Let me
After
finish.
seeing
Let me
those,
finish.
I will agree with you. I will agree with you on that. I will agree with you.
Because I think Gunn's Suicide Squad is like you could have obviously like he still incorporated the fact that it was the Suicide Squad very well into the story. But the
Mhm.
real like meat and potatoes heart of the story is like kind of like a found family dynamic. We've seen that with
Mhm.
Guardians. Like you
Mhm.
can do that
Yeah.
with a lot of like team-based
Yeah.
movies. With
Yeah.
Ayer's version, there's a sense that he's trying to, at least I picked up on this. Maybe I'm like hallucinating and I'm trying to like find quality in something that's not there. But I think the original pitch for this movie, and maybe even like the original version of this movie before it was hacked to pieces, was the idea of or like what is actually good about prison. Like, prison is not helpful to anyone, and like
Mhm.
Mhm.
the idea of prison reform, what is like, how does that look? What's the difference between a prisoner being forced into doing something, basically like uh, slavery in a sense, and
Mhm.
like a soldier like Rick Flag, who
Mhm.
is like a different kind of prisoner. Like, yes, he is more willing, but he's still just a guy
Mhm.
following orders. He just doesn't have a bomb in his neck. And I
Mhm.
think that is a
Mhm.
lot more thematically relevant and interesting way to build off of the Suicide Squad material
Mhm.
than what Gunn ends up doing, which is much more focused on the found family aspect.
Mhm.
And I still
Yeah.
really like, obviously, I really love what the Suicide Squad does. But I think
Mhm.
in terms of saying something genuinely interesting in a way that builds off the source material, Ayer
Uh-huh.
had that potential, and I
Yeah,
think
a little
he,
I
more
will say,
ambition. Yeah.
Is Adam
yeah,
I will say,
Sandler's big wheel petitioning for the Ayer cut to be released?
I would have smacked somebody who said that like a week ago before I rewatched this movie. But after rewatching it, there's so many scenes, especially the scene where like they have like the big team breakup and like they find out
Mhm.
it was Enchantress or whatever. It's like this had to have been something else. There's no way that the original cut of this movie was Flag revealing that it was Enchantress and that like they were kind of in on it. Like that it does not feel like it is big enough for all of them to be like, all right, fuck this. Like, I don't care if I get my
Mhm.
head exploded. Like, we're done
yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like it would have been way more impactful if it was like the original pitch of like, oh, Enchantress is actually here for on behalf of Steppenwolf. So like,
yes.
like like this really fails either way. Like this really
Yeah.
doesn't matter. Because
Yeah.
it's like a I guess at least in that sense of like they're being sent to die. Even just having that realization that like, well, you either live to fight another day or we're all kind of fucked anyway. That's a really, really interesting um just commentary on what the squad is supposed to be. As opposed to like, I don't know. I again we'll talk about it further with the Suicide Squad and my personal criticisms of it. But
Mhm.
I would 100% agree that it does kind of lean more into like the found family aspect
Yeah.
Yeah.
of Gunn's movies and just how he
Mhm.
typically goes about writing those kinds of stories.
Yeah. And
Especially and
it
like the only really crucial Suicide Squad-ish thing that he really incorporates in the story and even incorporated in the marketing, which now looking back, I can kind of say is a bit lame sauce, is the whole oh anyone could die, like
right.
oh like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
like, you could flip a coin and like oh a whole bunch of people would die. It's like
Even
okay, like
Harley could die.
yeah,
Really?
it's
Yeah.
like
Really, guys?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's like
I
okay,
will say
I don't
that upon rewatch, there were some interesting ideas proposed beyond the found family, like around like the
uh-huh.
government and stuff. We'll get to that, but yeah,
Oh, don't
I do
even.
agree that the original proposed a lot of interesting things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 And I think you can see it most with like Flag and Deadshot's dynamic in the movie. Like it kind of like survives like even through this really weird ass fucking cut.
Mm-hmm.
That you can see Flag, and I think it even carries over into the Suicide Squad. That you
Mm-hmm.
see Flag develop more sympathy and like kindness, basically towards uh prisoners like Deadshot, because like then you
Yeah,
see because like he like realizes who Deadshot kind of is as a person,
Mhm.
and that like obviously like it's not all circumstances, but like circumstances have kind of like dictated his life a certain way.
Right.
Um and he needs to recognize that and like be like, no, like I'm not that much I'm not that far from being as shitty as him. Like I just watched Amanda
mm-hmm.
Waller like kill like a bunch of these interns basically, and I barely batted
Yeah,
an eye.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
and then you see the next movie, like literally in the first scene, he's like Savant, and like he like goes to like give him a handshake and is uh like a lot more friendly with
Formal
him. And,
handshake.
like
Mhm.
all of the members.
Yeah, yeah. He does bring a bit of more of a humanistic approach to it. As humanistic as a soldier or a
Yeah.
black ops government team can be, but
Mhm.
Yeah,
I
he's
I
not like
really
a
didn't.
he's not just being like, "Oh, you're a soldier." Like you're a
Mhm.
mercenary. You kill for money. I'm a soldier. Like
Yeah, yeah. I don't really have anything else to say about this movie. We're at the 30-minute mark, but I will. Well, no, not yet, not yet, not yet.
Yeah, I got
8 minutes,
7
but
minutes on my clock. But
I guess I'll just say that this movie was, I mean, seeing this for the first time in like years properly was just very interesting, and I hope to never see it again. I
Yeah.
think it was, I think, even for what I have relented, or would I have chosen to not rag on it for, because it's been ragged on by thousands of other people before. I
oh yeah,
think it is insistently racist. It is dumb. Um,
hmm
it's
BET.
yeah, it's
Mm.
it's just truly whether it be by butchering of an original cut or just a bad idea in general. Um, it's an absolute disaster fest, and
hmm
I agree.
Shout out
it did
Batman for
irreversible damage.
telling
Irreversible
shout out
damage.
Batman for telling Deadshot that he'll never fucking see his kid ever again.
I don't
Yeah.
want to do this in front of your in front of your daughter, Deadshot, and then like
Yeah.
he's literally the one who engaged in the fight.
Yeah. Fucking flying down, fully, like as he's
Yeah, it
2
came out of
feet away.
fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
Deadshot, you asshole! Why would you do this in front of your kids?
Mm.
I didn't want to. I didn't want to do this. You're the one who's doing it right now. You're the one aiming the gun.
Yeah, shit, man.
Guys, there's a black guy. He's aiming a gun at me. Shoot! Somebody take him down, please. I'm defenseless. He's scaring me.
Yeah, and yeah, I guess that's really everything that I have to say. I feel like they're missing. What was the team again? Harley, Deadshot.
Boomerang, Fire
Croc.
Cholo guy, Croc,
Yeah.
Common, by the way.
Oh, that's right. It was common. I was really surprised by that.
Yeah.
Like, I genuinely had no. You would not know. You wouldn't
Wait,
know
what?
at all.
What are you talking about?
Common was
The rapper
Common was Killer
Common?
Croc.
No, it wasn't. Common was the guy that Joker shot in the face in the club.
Was he?
No, it was
Yeah,
not.
look it up right. Look it up right the fuck now. Common is the guy in the
No, he
club that
doesn't look
Joker
that.
shoots.
No. I don't
Dude,
believe that.
it's not Common that plays Killer Croc.
What? What?
Well, Ty told me it was Common, so I guess Ty's the one
Yeah,
spreading misinformation.
He's
I don't even I can't even.
completely unrecognizable. He is completely I did not think that. No,
I don't
that is
even
not
think he's like that unrecognizable, but like
he is to me.
but I
Dude,
knew for
You
a fact
spreading
it wasn't Common that
misinformation, Ty?
that's crazy, dude. I had no idea. Damn. See, you know what? I said it. Yeah, that movie really is racist, because I don't know how you make Common look like that. I don't know. I don't know, man. I'll tell you what, like that like I've seen this movie quite a few times. Never once was I like, yeah, that's Common right there.
I'm surprised because I'm not even like well versed in Common, and I knew that was him. Like I've always known that. It's like, oh yeah, that's Common. Like I don't know why
No,
he's in this movie, but
it just didn't make that connection. Like, I never did. Like, he doesn't look.
he has
I
a
don't know.
ridiculous name. What's the character's name?
Monster T. It's Monster
Monster.
T.
Monster T.
Yeah, it's interesting. Also, Karen Fukuhara, the Kamiko from the boys. She's in this movie. She's
Oh shit!
Katana.
Yeah, she's
She's
Katana.
Katana.
Yeah, she's Katana, the female.
Actually,
Yeah.
like Katana. That I think that's like the real like killing blow for this movie is like nobody actually does anything. Like Boomerang does jack shit. Boomerang
Right.
has a drone boomerang. Katana
Yeah.
kind of like flashes some people up. Killer Croc, you see him like body slam a guy and then like weirdly like do his little bear crawl into the water. And, like, find a bomb. El Diablo is probably like El Diablo.
That is fucking name.
Deadshot. Yeah, El Diablo.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been calling him Fire Cholo this entire time.
Fire Cholo.
I was
thought
wondering
it
what the
was-
fuck you were talking about, dude.
I thought, dude, I thought it was some shit like that, but I didn't want to seem
You
fucking
thought it
racist.
was actually.
I thought it was some shit like that. I actually didn't want to seem racist and be like,
El
what the fuck are you talking
Fuego.
about? El Fuego, yeah. Fucking no, man.
I mean, yeah, Jude, this movie is racist, but I don't think it's that racist.
Yeah, Fuego Hombre. That's his name. A fire on me, man. Don't fuck with me.
Yeah, neither El Fuego nor anyone else did anything of value.
No one
No.
did, truly.
Like Deadshot at least like had like you at least saw him do some trick shots.
Yeah.
Like here and there. Like you just see him do
Yeah.
one trick shot. Harley is another one who does like absolutely nothing, but she gets like so much screen time where it's like, oh, she
Yes,
did something. Like
screen
she
time.
hits people. She hits people with a bat.
Yeah, I mean, it was I don't know why they thought. I mean, I guess I get the appeal. I guess I get the appeal partly being on the team, but like logically speaking, like what value does she really offer? Like, is she swinging a bat at like a bunch of demons and
Fuck!
and a
I
witch?
just realized who we forgot.
Ooh.
Slipknot, the man who can climb
Well, like he
anything.
got okay. Like I knew Slipknot was the thing, but like he was there really for like two.
He was literally there just to say like somebody died on the squad.
Yeah, he was
Like,
cannon fodder. He was cannon fodder.
Yeah.
Like no, he does not count. He doesn't count for me.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Especially like the more you like the more I think about it, this movie really is fucking racist. It's like just not good.
Yeah.
I like
Release
just
the
how
haircut.
Slipknot's introduction. He just punches that woman for like no reason, like actively no
Yeah.
reason.
It's
All right,
yeah.
I think we've exhausted as much as we can, unless anybody else has one last remark or comment they want to make.
I mean,
Oh,
nothing
no.
that hasn't already been said before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Can't wait for the
that's
next
the tough
David Ayer
part.
tweet. I can't wait for the next vague David Ayer tweet that's like, "Oh, they took my movie," and it's like a very compressed, dark image of Harley and Joker in like a tuxedo and a dress or something, or like I don't know, like a shot of the team that's like
My
you can
movie was
barely-
beautiful.
like lit terribly.
My movie was beautiful. Then the big black buck of Hollywood came in and fucked my petite wife right in front of me as I was crying. It was the most horrible thing I've ever experienced.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually don't remember hearing from him recently. Didn't that kind of stuff kind of stop a while ago?
Yeah,
I
it
feel
stopped
like
at the
he was still active like last year about it.
He was still active last year, but it kind of seems like the vibe he got is that he didn't even really talk to James Gunn, but James Gunn was just like something about James Gunn's energy just said like no, like stop talking about it.
Yeah,
It's
like
not
no one wants this shit.
Yeah, like he just stonewalled him basically. So I guess he's just
I
kind of
will say I genuinely do. I think this like his cut of the movie is like it's somewhere between like BVS Ultimate Edition and a Snyder cut, where like I genuinely do think at the very least the movie would be coherent and like digestible.
coherent, yes. Coherent,
Yeah, like it
yes.
would at least be digestible as a
Yeah.
film. Where now it's just fucking. It's just not.
Yeah.
It is
It's-
hard to watch.
It's movie vomit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Vomit on the big screen.
Four filters.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I did not know that. Like when you look up David Ayer, just as we're closing out, when you look up like he's just a really racist person, I guess, except for Training Day,
Oh.
because like it's just like literally he's known for making crime films that are set in Los Angeles and things and deals with gangs and police corruption. So like you wanted like Like y'all really thought that was gonna turn out a certain way. So I don't
One
know
trick pony.
where
I
it came from.
I watched The Beekeeper in theaters this year.
Mhm. Mm-hmm.
Wait, shit, he was in the military? He was in the Navy? Damn.
Huh.
I did not
Makes
know this
sense.
man was in the Navy.
Makes sense.
Makes sense.
But I would say out of all the
Oh,
movies I've seen from him, The Beekeeper is probably his best.
Wasn't that the one with
Jason Statham.
Jason
yeah,
Statham.
Jason Statham. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
movie is like actually hilarious because like yeah, I'm not gonna get into it, but it actively hilarious. Look up the plot of that movie later, and you'll get a decent laugh.
Got you.
I just remember seeing the trailer and being like, "There's no way this is real." He probably says some corny one-liner at the end.
It is, but it also like goes. It like takes it to a place that you did not expect, while also not having the balls enough to commit to that bit. Like it's a very weird thing where like it like completely jumps like hurdles over the line conceptually, and then just does not follow through by the end.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, moving
All right.
on now to
Time for Birds of Prey.
Oh boy.
Seth.
Again,
I'm very happy to know that on first watch you got it. You saw the vision.
Yeah. After years of Ty just saying it is an underrated movie, Ty finally saw the light.
Blind
that it's
dick
real.
riding on Ty's part.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right,
for those who hadn't watched the previous episode, I had never seen this movie before, and I came out of it completely unchanged.
Yeah, I don't think I'll
he
ever
might as
watch
well
this
have not
movie.
seen it.
Yeah.
I did see it, and I'm really glad that I did because how long was it, Seth? Was it like 2 hours for you? 2 hours, like
Yeah.
an hour and a half? Yeah,
Like a
yeah, that
little
was
under
Just
2
under 2
hours.
hours.
2 hours. 2 hours I spent doing other shit.
But that shit slogged for just under 2 hours. Like it felt really long because, like you
Well,
said,
yeah,
the pacing.
because it's shit. Because it's shit.
Yeah.
Of course, it's gonna feel longer.
But like even
Duh.
beyond that, it's just the pacing really hurt it because there were some enjoyable performances and some of the visuals were kind of cool, but just like wow, what? Who let a monkey into the editing room?
Yeah.
I
In
feel like
that,
you want to look up the editor first, say
Who-
something like that, in case
Huh?
in the fucking infinite monkey theorem, okay, instead of
Who-
typing Hamlet,
Gorilla.
the monkey with a typewriter typed out fucking Birds of Prey.
Like honestly, literally, like it would take the monkey at least like a year maybe to develop Birds of Prey. Not even like it is like such a like low effort, barely there movie in
Yeah.
so many areas.
Mm-hmm.
I want to keep hearing your thoughts, Seth, before
Yeah,
I,
it's just like the equivalent of like you get to class and you're like yawning and you're like your head's down on your desk. That's how the movie's energy felt to me, especially in the climax. Because again, force dynamic, it's like everyone's always so edgy, like, oh, I'm alone and I'm hurt and I'm traumatized, and like you think they're gonna like go somewhere with that, but then by the end they're all fighting and everything's all lighthearted. They're like, oh, you have anger issues.
that just happened.
Yeah. No, that's literally the energy that they go for. And it almost
honestly-
makes you think, and it almost makes me think that like, was this another movie that like got cut to pieces? Because it's like it just feels so.
It'd be so weird if it was, though. It'd be so weird if it was, because I don't know. But I'll get into it in a second. But I just want to go back to your comparison of it being like you're falling asleep in class. I think it's more like your mom's telling you a story, and instead of getting to the fucking point, she keeps like giving you like random backstory for shit
Yeah.
that like ends up having nothing to do with the actual goings on of the story itself. So you're just waiting for it to finally like kick in, and like you're like half listening because it's like, okay, maybe this is relevant, but it's also just going on for so long that it could
Yeah.
mean nothing by the end. So you're just continuously like being strung along this absolute nothing plot until it finally just ends, and you're
Yeah.
like, wow, okay, I wish you just explained that. I just wish you said that last like 10 minutes to me.
Yeah, dude,
And left it at that.
you hit the nail between the eyes. I was more so talking about like the energy, like the tone
Yeah.
of the movie, but in terms of like the pacing and like how they progress the story, that's it. That is fucking it. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, because I've had so many conversations with my mom like that. Where I'm like, holy fuck, like where are we
Yeah,
going with this?
same with my dad. Yeah, but my God, yeah, yeah. It's a shame if it was cut to pieces because it very much seems like one of those movies where it's like, and obviously a lot of the times this is like a vain attempt, but at the very least it seemed to like be trying to like pick up the pieces of the failure that was 2016 Suicide Squad and like
Yeah,
go off in its own direction, but it just feels so directionless, you know?
absolutely. And not even in like a vibe way, like a kind of
Oh
like
yeah.
chill vibe way. Because like some movies, like you can just kind of like turn your brain off, have fun too. Like I'd say like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is one of those movies where it's like there is no real like forward momentum to that movie at all. Like you're
Mm-mm.
literally just meant
Mhm.
to kind of like chill out, have fun. That is not the vibe. Like very much what you said, Seth. Like the
Hmm.
energy is too low for it to like for you to actually vibe to anything. And then
Yeah.
when it does try to like ramp up and like have fun with itself, it feels so fucking artificial and like
Yeah.
ham-fisted that you can't actually like get into it at all.
Yeah, it's ironic. It's like the one part of the movie where you're supposed to be like locked in. I was like
Yeah.
falling asleep. I was falling out of it. Like, what are you doing?
I just I don't if this movie was cut to pieces, I feel bad. And I know there
Yeah.
was like the rumor before the movie even came out, and like people were like fucking freaking out about it at the time, that the diamond plot, like they yeah Ty knows what I'm talking about.
I don't.
The diamond plot was actually do you know about this, Seth?
I do not.
The supposed leak plot, I don't know if it was ever actually the plot
I
or if it
think
was
it
just
was someone fucking around. It was definitely
yeah,
someone
it could
fucking
have been
around.
someone fucking around.
Mm-hmm.
But supposedly the diamond wasn't just straight up like bank numbers or anything like that. It was that it had Black Mask's dick pics like engraved in it, basically. And like I think it was like the original thing was
Oh my
like they
God.
thought it was like bank codes, but then they find out it's like his dick pics, and like that's why he's so
Uh-huh.
hard set on like getting the diamond pics, which
The
honestly
plot
is like a
of
fucking
all
hilarious
time.
plot.
Yeah,
The
that
plot.
that might have saved it for me. That might have saved it for me.
Yeah, like that is
I
like
think
such
it'd
a
be a neat
goofy.
twist.
Yeah,
Mm?
it would have been a
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
I
oh
don't think
yeah,
it
yeah,
would have
yeah.
fixed the movie, but it at least would have
Yeah.
made it like more funny, and you would have remembered it
Mm-hmm.
for something. Like, oh, that was a funny ass twist.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another thing. It's like, I went into this movie expecting it to be funny, but there's just so much different stuff going on that
So funny.
like where all the times it tries to be funny, I'm like, "Oh, this is what we're doing?" Instead of being like I don't know, I feel so out of everything it tries to do.
It-
Except for one thing, and that's Black Mask.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like whatever works in this movie is like a performance thing and just the performer really knowing what they wanted to do. Like Ewan
Mm,
McGregor is like locked in. Like he knows what he's
yes.
doing. I it's funny because like I like go back and forth on him as a villain because I think like performance wise, he's killing it. He's doing a great job. He has like good little nuances to make him a little bit more interesting. Then
Yeah.
I also think about it and like he's still not deep enough to justify the amount of screen time we get from him.
Uh-huh.
Like that one scene where he like makes that woman get up on the table and like start dancing
Uh-huh.
is really fucking weird. Like that's a weird
Yeah.
like scene to include and does not fit with the rest of the movie's like tone and atmosphere like at all.
At
Like it's just
all. Yeah.
it is a starkly realistic and uncomfortable scene in the face of everything else that's happened.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Isn't that
Yeah.
like
And
what turns Black Canary as well? Like she saw it, she's like, oh fuck no, like no, I'm getting the fuck away from this guy.
when
Yeah.
it's like it was already implied she was gonna like she wasn't
Betray
in
him.
on him anyway. Like it already like
Yeah.
was stated and like shown that she was against him. So
Mhm.
it's just a very weird scene. It's just like another scene to be like, yeah, this guy's an asshole. He's fucked up.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
look how he brutalized this woman. It's like, okay, that's fucked up, but like that really didn't do much for anybody, really.
Right.
And I can't help but like always go back. I made this comparison when I first watched the movie, but I always go back like he's basically a more swagged up version of fuck, I can't I literally just had his name in my head but I can't remember. But the guy from Venom, the main villain from Venom. He's like
Carlton
that
Drake.
guy. Yeah,
I
yeah, Carlton Drake. Like
Yeah.
he's just a more swagged up, flamboyant version of Carlton Drake, where like you
Yeah.
just see scenes repeating themselves of like, oh yeah, this is this guy's thing,
Mhm.
and that's it. Like that's all you get out of him
Yeah,
is like
that
this
is
one thing.
that is an interesting comparison because I think for both of those villains, it's like the ends don't justify the means, like with how much screen time they get, like you said.
Yeah,
But like in terms of Black Mask in particular, one thing I think they at least tried developing was like his sense of like entitlement because like I grew up with nothing, so I'm gonna like take everything and like it's kind of rote, but like I and like you said, the acting does carry that, but it's like you
yeah,
can see like how he's driven to that.
yeah.
It's like he's not just like a cardboard cutout.
Yeah, I do think he has like just enough characterization to make him interesting, but a lot of it comes out through the performance itself.
Mm-hmm.
And we already get all of that characterization like we already get that within like the first two or three scenes with him. Like we
Uh-huh.
don't need to keep reiterating to understand what this guy's about. And
Yeah.
especially when someone like Huntress is given so little time and is literally
Mhm.
given like all of her characterization is within that final like 20-15 minutes. It's stupid. Like I don't know why we structured the movie that I don't know why we
Mm-hmm.
structured the movie this way.
Yeah.
Ty, you've been very quiet as we've been
Yeah.
double teaming your beloved birds of prey. Your once
I think it's
beloved
just setting.
prey.
I think it's just setting in for them that they spent all this time meat writing this fucking dog shit movie.
Their hands are just like their head is
Um,
just like sinking further and further into their hands as we go on.
I would just like to direct everyone in this call right now to the little chat we have in the Discord real quick before I
Oh, I see
begin
it. I
speaking.
see it.
Just before we can just before I start speaking, because I want you all to know my perspective.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay. Um, you know, you ever just I guess this is just what I'm going through right now. You ever just,
Mm-hmm.
you just have like a really, really nice relationship with a really sweet person. You're like, wow, this is great. And, you grow apart, you break up, things happen. And you revisit that relationship a few years later. And you're like, how did I tolerate this? Why are my standards like this? Um,
How did I let this slide?
yeah. I've experienced this, but also, this is how I feel about Birds of Prey. Um, as you can tell, my energy is it is deflated. I feel like as if there's been a pin put inside my heart and popped and exploded. Um, because it's just I don't know, man. I knew there were some things that I severely disliked about this movie before this rewatch. Like I knew I hated To the Ends of the Earth how they characterized Cassandra Cain and
Mhm.
Renee
hmm
Montoya, the- mostly because, well, like, okay, first of all, that's not even Cassandra Cain. That's literally that's just an Asian character, an Asian female character you happen to name Cassandra Cain. There's nothing about her resembles that character at all.
Just as a
Not that I'm
quick
saying,
side note, I don't even think like I don't even hate her on like that like basis
Mhm.
alone. I just think she's just a horrible fucking character in the movie in
Yeah,
general. But
Yeah.
continuing.
um, Renee Montoya. I think that was like the deep cut for me because I really really love um I really really love Ed Brubaker's Gotham Central. And as Bryce, as you said, we have to give some of these adaptations, we have to meet them where they are. But I
Yeah.
think it's so offensive in that it goes so ostensibly, like it's almost antagonistic to her, that like the entire movie is antagonistic to her. Like like they kind of make her a joke, like an
hmm
80s, like a
Abs-
very
yeah,
one-dimensional 80s
absolutely.
cop. And like it's supposed to be a joke, but that's literally just what she is and nothing more. And that's just it's so lame, and it's so lame. So I know that going in. But um I'm not crying, I'm just sniffling. But you know
It's okay. It's okay.
um but it's just I've just found that this movie is just y- you know I to quote Shannon Sharp, I gave this movie everything I had. I gave it everything I had, you know.
I gave you everything I had.
It's
uh,
you just try to
When
have
you steal your John Wick fight scenes, Birds of Prey, I hope you know. I gave you everything I had.
it's I really tried to hold out hope for the entire 2 hours and 20 minutes or whatever runtime it
hmm
is. But I tried to hold out hope. I tried to wait and see, like, oh, okay, maybe they might cook here. Maybe they might have something going on. And I was waiting for it and waiting for it, and it never came. It just
Yeah,
never
they
happened.
forgot to turn the stove on.
Not even. I don't even think, like, they weren't even in the kitchen on this one. Maybe that's a
I
bad maybe
it,
maybe that's a bad analogy to make, this movie in particular. But they weren't cooking. Like they
I
weren't
was
even
gonna
in
say
the kitchen.
it's like they had like this prepackaged meal in their
Uh-huh.
freezer that like
hmm
you could microwave in like 3 minutes or whatever, and they like put it in and they heated it up, and like it was still a little cool on the inside and like not fully
Mhm.
done, but they're like, we
hmm
don't want to like overheat it, and then I'm like burning my mouth off, and then they just ate it anyway, and they had a fucking lukewarm dinner.
hmm
That's what this
Oh
movie
yeah.
reeks of to me.
Yeah.
It's like eating a half, a half a half brick dry, no seasoning, no nothing, bowl of ramen noodles, and half, liquidized and half watery. It's disappointing.
hmm
It's disappointing to
Well,
take
it's
in.
like it's like they added black pepper to it though, because it tries to have
Yeah.
like a style, but
Uh-huh.
it's like it's aping off the last movie, which its style was a result of just the trailers that had been coming out. Like literally,
hmm
that last movie was edited by a fucking trailer house, and they just they made it they retroactively made that movie look like the trailers.
Yeah.
just
I don't
for
know.
like
I
marketing continuity's sake. And now
maybe
they're kind of going off that style in a way, or like developing off of it. And we have like
Yeah.
these like, quote unquote cute title cards for like characters that are chasing after Harley or
Mm-hmm.
whatever
Mhm.
else, or even like Black Canary, Huntress. Like sometimes it's fine and it works, and then other times it's like, huh? Like what's the joke
Yeah.
there?
Right.
right. I think the thing is like maybe this is a little out of line for me to say, but it's like how people who like criticize movies like Scott Pilgrim or Eternal Sunshine for like these manic pixie dream girl characters, like it feels like this was made by one. Like the entire trope of a manic
Mm-hmm.
pixie dream girl was made this movie because
Yeah.
it's so like whoa. like,
Mm-hmm.
it's like there's nothing to grasp
Right.
onto and there's nothing to really like I was literally searching and waiting for the entirety of the movie to be like, oh, this is really cool. Or, oh, I really
Mm-hmm.
enjoy this. And I came out of
Yeah.
it like, well, I thought this was fine, and I thought that was fine,
Mm-hmm.
but I wouldn't, I'm not really grasping onto anything here. This is inaccessible
Yeah.
in a way. It's against being funny. It's not really compelling until the last 20 or so minutes. Um, it doesn't really have anything to say about Harley as a character.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Like
Which
at
is
all. Like even though
it
it's
is
like wow.
Despite it insisting constantly that it does.
Yeah.
it is truly shocking how much of this movie just has nothing to say. Like
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
the end, like you reach the end of it, and it's like what was the actual? Because I think Harley does have an arc in this movie, but it's
Mhm.
resolved within the first like 10 minutes. Like her
Right.
blowing up that factory to me is like that should have been like the end of the arc.
Right.
And I know
Uh-huh.
like the rest of the movie is about her like kind of committing to that act in a way and like learning to
Right.
stand up for herself,
Mm-hmm.
but she is constantly bailed out by other characters in this movie, and like they try to have it both ways where she's like, no, she's really capable and can kick ass, but she's also a fucking dumbass.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mhm.
they try to both it, like both sides it with her character, and it just does not work at all. Like she
Yeah, no.
never comes off as actually capable, just capable because the writer said they say she is in this moment
Mm-hmm.
until
Mhm.
she isn't, and then she's kind of like a ditzy dumb blonde.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Yeah, it's another
I
thing that makes
actually
you wonder if like they wanted to just like make a Harley Quinn movie and there was just
that
no
that was the
substance,
goal. That
right?
was the
Or
entire
like
goal.
that was what?
I believe it was sometime after Suicide Squad. Margot Robbie had just signed on as like producer for a Harley Quinn movie. Well, I
Oh.
believe it was supposed like okay. So here's the thing. There was a Harley Quinn versus Joker movie, and then there was just a straight up Harley Quinn movie, I believe.
I
And
see.
at some point, for whatever reason, whether it be Margot not wanting to work with Jared Leto or WB just not wanting Jared Leto to come back to portray that role,
I wouldn't
um,
want him.
the like his Joker movie was canceled. The Harley
Mm-hmm.
versus Joker movie was basically canceled quietly, and it just became Harley Quinn, and then it went from there.
I see. Yeah,
I'm
that
pretty sure
that
that's
tracks, especially because like they show Joker for like 2 seconds, but they
yeah.
conveniently don't show his face.
I feel
I
like
was about to
this
say,
movie
I was about
would have used Joker.
it really
Like
could have.
it
Mm-hmm.
probably like he probably should have been in this.
Mm-hmm.
Like I get it. Like they could have recasted him at the very least. I don't know
Mhm.
why these movies are like so insistently against just recasting characters, but
Yeah.
um, you know, I feel like it's better. It's better to at least do that and confuse your audience for like 5 seconds because you're a bunch of infantilized babies who don't understand anything,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, have a incomplete narrative because the um toxic character that your protagonist is trying to get away from is literally just has a non-presence in this movie entirely.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Yeah,
stupid.
was it this movie that started the kind of tradition of like gatekeeping characters for no reason in the
No,
DCEU?
no. They already did.
Oh,
They
that
already
was
started
always a
that.
thing.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
that was
that's
already
always
done.
been.
That was already
Well, I mean like major
like
characters that are already established in like previous movies.
no. Superman wasn't in Shazam, but I don't think that was like a gatekeep thing. I think that was just Henry Cavill
Oh,
not
right.
being able
Shazam
to
came out in
that.
2019, right?
Mhm.
Right. But
Yeah, I
Mm,
forgot about that. I guess
yeah.
Shazam started then.
I think that was just a thing of
I think it was
um
scheduling. From what I
yeah, it was
remember
just
in
Oh
seeing it.
yeah.
it
Okay.
actually wasn't a thing. Like I don't think that was a thing for the DCEU like until Black Adam actually. Because like they
Hmm.
were no, yeah, no. Like it wasn't really a thing until Black Adam, which we'll get to in a couple weeks.
Like Adam.
Because they were so against Black Adam slash Superman. Mostly Superman, because they just didn't want to bring Henry back at some point. Like it was like a scheduling thing at first, and they just didn't want to bring him back at all.
Yeah.
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 I don't know if I would say it's like a necessarily a gatekeep thing any more than it is like people being weird with
Yeah, I was gonna say.
schedules.
I think it's just management being petty. Like depending
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
like with Joker on Gotham. Like they couldn't
Yeah.
use or say Joker, but like
Yeah.
they basically still had Joker on the fucking show.
Yeah.
And
Jerome.
Yeah.
there's a lot of
Yeah,
examples in like
that's
the
pretty much
animated
what I
stuff
was
as
getting
well.
at, yeah.
Oh yeah,
Just
that stuff
it's
has been
so
around for a
weird.
while. That's been around for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just it's but like for the DCU in particular, it just
I
comes
don't
off
think
so weird.
I don't know if it's been a thing for the DCEU. I don't know. I don't think anything has been outstandingly like weird in terms of like I mean like I guess like that whole again, we'll get to it down the line, but like the
Mhm.
whole like league scene with Peacemaker, that was a little
Yeah.
weird. It
Yeah,
was
yeah,
just
yeah.
three of them.
Yeah.
um but I don't know if that's like a scheduling thing or just a matter of like James knowing who was available. Um
I
just
think
because
it
it was the most
was like management bullshit because there were behind the scenes photos of like someone in the
Oh,
Batfleck
that's
suit.
right. That's right.
Mhm.
But I mean, if they were just being stand-ins, and I don't know if that's necessarily a thing or if it was just like they were stand-ins
Yeah.
and
I my personal theory is just that like Aquaman and the Flash were probably just shooting around the same time that Peacemaker was, so it was probably just
mm,
more convenient and easier to get those two real quick.
That's
Because I
yeah,
feel
true.
like
no, during
originally how it was written, probably was just a silhouette of all the league members.
Uh-huh.
And then
mm,
it probably turned once he realized he could get them, it turned into okay, might as well throw you in for like a quick cameo or something. That's my
yeah,
personal speculation because
Mhm.
that's how it like kind of comes off. And like I remember reading about it that it just sounded like they were available to shoot those scenes.
That would
But
mhm,
make sense.
Mhm.
yeah. But yeah, it just I don't know. Fuck this movie. That's really all I have to say about it.
Fuck this movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I
I
I
guess the
really
only
wish
thing
it
I
had been
have left
better.
to say about it is that, we're talking about like how it has no style, it doesn't commit to anything, but like it's such a shame because there are like attempts at style in isolation. Because like again, I think for all this movie's flaws, it was at least shot competently. I don't
yeah
know if I'd say well, but I mean there were some parts of it that I think were shot fairly well, but like I don't know, like it didn't look bad, like
I think
and like the use of
no,
color was
it
kind of
is it
cool.
is a aggressively competent movie.
Yeah, yeah, and it's just like they use all these like bright colors that like mix together, and it's like I wish this meant something, because it looks cool.
Yeah.
I think if they want to get a little more serious about Harley than they think they have been, and instead of trying to make her DC's Deadpool,
Yeah.
Hmm.
with bright colors, I would say start somewhere with like the same kind of bright colors, aesthetics, and fun. Because I think she does need to be like a fun comedic character. That's like has her own dark sides and whatnot. Um, but like it's just not big. Sorry, it's just not like very compelling as it is, and
Mm-hmm.
I hope going forward in the DCU, she can kind of have that. She can kind of retain that like fun, cartoonish style without being biting off Deadpool, but like
Yeah.
keep it cool.
There-
Like, keep it cool. It's someone who knows how to do this and cares about doing
Just
this.
quick aside. There was a moment that I know, and I hadn't noticed it before, but like, there's a lot of moments where she like kind of winks at the camera or like directly looks at the camera and is obviously talking to the audience. But then there's
Yeah.
one scene very early on, like where I think it's when Black Mask is introduced and she like lists off a bunch of like disorders he has, or like why it's not like the card thing where it's like reasons he dislikes me.
Yeah.
It's like literally the
Mhm.
first scene where she's like, she just like says an aside to herself without staring at the camera all of these conditions, but he doesn't acknowledge it. So it seems like it was supposed to be like
Yeah.
a thing to the audience, but she's not staring at the camera. And there's
Yeah.
so many jokes like that where it's like, wait, did you mean to do that? Or like, was
Right.
the punchline always meant to be that way?
Yeah, it took me
Because
a second. I know what I know what scene you're talking about. That
yeah,
was kind of weird.
and going back to like the 80s cop thing that you were talking about earlier, Ty, with Renee, like when Harley introduces her and says that, and she's like, and she says, she's always saying cheesy shit, like, and then Renee just starts positing her theory on the crime scene itself. Like, there's no
Mhm.
actual punchline to, like, I don't know if the punchline to the joke is supposed to be that she is just saying something a normal cop would say, or if the writers actually think this is some cheesy 80s cop shit she's saying right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And then I just think, like, what is any of the jokes in this movie?
Yeah,
And
I
then I
think
think
it's just
about
an
it
attempt to like build inside humor between these characters and make them seem like a ragtag family.
when they're
You
not
know?
at all.
Yeah.
And I always get to the end of this movie and I'm like, I don't get it.
Mhm.
Where are the jokes? And then I realize the joke was just on me for rewatching this movie again and holding out hope that it like something clicks. But it will never
Uh-huh.
click. Like I think this is my final rewatch of this movie
Mm.
because I've
First
rewatched
and
it
ever
more
for me.
times.
First and only for me.
Yeah, I've rewatched this movie way more times than I'd like to admit. And it's
Uh-huh.
because, and I think it's because like I keep gaslighting myself. I see all the reactions people have to this movie, and I know how much people love this movie. Like they consider this among the best of the best in comic book movies. Some people do, or even just like a generally fun time. I could
Mhm.
not disagree more. I think this movie is a fucking sham. It is wearing the aesthetics of like more indie art house movies
Mhm.
in
Mhm.
order to sell itself as something better than what it actually is. It does not know what it is because it
Right.
is simply a collection of neat aesthetics that look kind of nice together. It does
Yeah.
not actually have anything of its own.
And like they're cool in isolation, but just none of it comes together.
Mm-mm.
No. And I think the scene I remember the trailer for this coming out, and I remember being like kind of lukewarm on most of it. But there's that quick shot of her in like I think it's like a Marilyn Monroe getup,
Mhm.
with like all the dancers beside her, and that like got me like I knew I was gonna see the movie no matter what. Like no matter how
Mhm.
uninterested I was in everything else, that one scene sparked enough interest and hope in me that like maybe it could be good. Because like it was such a cool looking aesthetic, and I'm a sucker for like musical moments in anything. And
I
then
feel
the
that.
moment came in the movie itself, and it meant nothing.
And it
It
just
didn't
yeah, what
express
it just happened.
it. It just happens, and it looks cool, and then we immediately move on. And the most you get
Yeah.
out of it is that it was a way for Harley to disassociate from what was happening to her. But the way
Right.
it's edited does not help communicate that in the slightest.
Yeah, I was just like, okay.
OJ like
Yeah.
Birds of Prey be like, we're women. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Enough of that shitty movie. Why don't we talk about an actual good movie now, huh? End off
Yeah.
regenerate talk with a good movie.
Yeah, very the Suicide Squad, man. Oh my god. I remember this came out. This was an interesting time.
It was.
HBO Max release. HBO Max release. What a dumb
Mhm.
decision. Because it just made everyone on Twitter complain that it bombs. No fucking wonder. I'm fucking streaming first, you idiot. Anyway,
Yeah.
Dune 2 made $1 billion, by the way. Dune 1 HBO Max release first. Anyway,
Hmm.
I I I have very fond memories and thoughts of this movie. I think
Yeah.
coming out, I was really, really high on James Gunn because it was like it was his first like after Guardians 2 and after being fired from Disney. And I think at that point he had already been rehired.
Yeah, they had him
from-
back on already at this
Mhm.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was just really cool to see him back in the genre after not producing that really shitty Superman knockoff horror movie. And I was like, oh boy, it's like
Yeah.
in the toilet for James Gunn. But I'm glad he bounced back from it. It didn't like become a
Mhm.
right wing grifter or something. Because that could have been crazy. I feel like that was an alternate
Yeah.
timeline. He, like got canceled.
Now announcing
Like,
our new Wonder Woman, Gina Carano.
Yeah. God.
like, there's like
Yeah.
definitely an alternate timeline where this happened a little later and he became a grifter and started making superhero movies for like Daily Wire.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
All that to
Yeah.
say,
No.
I thought it was really cool coming out, and I've seen it a few times now. I have it on DVD, and I'm a little more critical of it now, but I still think it's great.
Yeah, I definitely don't think it was like the Cloud 9, like, oh my god, this is incredible and the best thing ever, like it was on first watch, but I still had a
Mhm.
pretty great time with this movie upon
Mhm.
rewatch.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we get into like the meat and potatoes of the movie itself, I do want to go back to the whole Max release thing with this.
Mhm.
And to kind of go back to Ayer's Suicide Squad a bit. Because I got curious as I was rewatching. I was like, what was the budget on this movie? Like, how much money did they fucking give James Gunn to make this? They gave that
Mhm.
man $185 million to make an R-rated superhero movie.
Oh,
That is actually like
wow.
kind of insane that they
Yeah.
gave him
Wow.
that amount.
That's really
And
good.
and just for comparison's sake, they gave Ayer 175 million for a PG-13.
Mhm.
So like the first one. So they gave this, and I think this really speaks to how big WB thought the Suicide Squad IP like was gonna hit.
Mhm.
Like they were
Mhm.
really fucking riding on this IP, and as we've already talked about, still are in a way with this Suicide Squad game. Like they think this is the shit that everybody's like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
oh, they can't get enough of Suicide Squad.
Mhm.
For I don't know what gave them that impression. Like I know the first movie
Mhm.
did
Mhm.
well. It's not like it did $1 billion.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It did,
I
like
think a part of it is like the mania around like the whole like hot topic aesthetic of it and like just like the Halloween
yeah.
costume, just like all that stuff. But even then, that was mostly just Harley and Joker.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's funny because this movie's marketing took a lot of notes from the 2016's marketing. Like the little heads with like that were basically like it's like the skulls with like the characters on it. Like
Uh-huh.
Guns marketing did that as well. And it's very funny like how much this movie like takes after the 2016 movie in a lot of ways, and yet is like infinitely. It obviously feels very different because it's actually like a cohesive. It was allowed to be a cohesive movie in the
Yeah.
first place. But it's funny how they like kept so many of those same aesthetics and sensibilities around, despite the first movie being so thoroughly kicked in the shit critically.
I think
Yeah.
it's really brave
No.
of him to I believe he said he was given like quite a few choices when like WB approached him about making a DC movie. And eventually he did end up making he ended up making Superman. But like
Yeah.
making a Suicide Squad movie after
Mhm.
like not that long after it was like not that long after it was like completely trashed and taken out back,
Takes
Yeah.
balls.
seemingly
Takes balls.
critically at least critically taken out back, and then going
Yeah.
as far to completely change the aesthetic that was established. Like that's like it's a little ballsy, and I respect that. I
Mm.
respect
Yeah.
that quite a bit.
Yeah, it kind of makes me think of like what we were talking about earlier, like about how like we're seeing like potential in 2016 Suicide Squad, and I feel like James Gunn kind of saw that and was like, "Let me do this, but better."
Yeah, there was
Yeah,
no if, ands, or
moments-
buts
moments.
with the Suicide Squad. It came,
I don't
they
know.
didn't fuck shit up.
Mm.
I don't know if he necessarily saw potential in like the movie itself, but I think he really
Which
just
is like
fucks with DC
Like the
comics.
idea
that's what I
of
was gonna say. Like
Oh yeah,
he
like
like,
the idea, like yeah.
and
Yeah.
I
Like
think
I
he
think
at
he
least
is really
recognized that like some of the like, at least in the again in the marketing, I think he recognized,
Mhm,
and like the general aesthetics that it was kind of going for. He just needed it to actually be there from the start and hone in on
mhm.
it, as opposed
Yeah.
to it being haphazardly like shuffled that way after it was already completed.
Yeah, you
Mm-hmm.
guys were
Mhm.
talking about how Harley in like Birds of Prey was, like trying to rip off like Deadpool and shit. But I think what I really remember from the Suicide Squad was how much Harley was like really enjoyable to like watch on screen compared to like
Yeah,
OG Suicide Squad.
Yeah,
probably the
Oh
definitely.
yeah,
best Margot
by a country
Robbie
mile. Country
performance
mile.
and well-written version of Harley Quinn, of this version
Absolutely.
of Harley Quinn.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I do want to say I would like to attribute some of that because like I don't want to be like I don't want to give all the credit to the men here, but like
Hmm.
some of it probably has to be to Margot having basically being like Harley Quinn's liaison for these movies and like having a good
Mm-hmm.
bit of control over like what movies she's in and I imagine how she's portrayed in these movies. Um and I imagine she probably like obviously like money is money, but I imagine she didn't love all of the over sexualization and just how
Yep.
weird everything was for
Yeah.
Suicide Squad that,
Mm-hmm.
she changed it up a little bit with Birds of
Yeah, her
Prey in this
screen
movie.
time.
Yeah. But yeah, I think like I really, really which is why I was surprised when Gunn did Superman was announced for Superman because I was kind of getting the vibe that he would do an like a Harley Quinn movie
Yeah.
because I believe he was talking about one for a while like wanting to do like a
Mm-hmm.
Harley Quinn and
Yeah.
Poison Ivy movie or maybe just a
Yeah, it
Harley
Yeah.
would
Well,
Quinn.
I
make
know that was
sense.
the
Like it seems
rumor
like
at least. That
yeah,
was like a
I
Gotham
could
City
definitely
Sirens.
see the seeds of
Yeah.
that in this movie because another thing this movie does really well is actually evenly balance the characters, but I definitely could see that he was like trying to do a lot with Harley in isolation still.
Hmm.
Hmm.
But yeah, no, I just really appreciate how the movie took her incarnation of Harley and took it from like screen time to, actual screen time, meaningful
Yeah.
stuff.
We see
Yeah.
we see Yeah, it's probably a lot better if you, well, I wouldn't say better, but like if you like watch like Bryce and Ty did. If you watch OG Suicide Squad, you watch Birds of Prey, and then you get to like Suicide Squad, the Suicide Squad, you get to see like a sort of evolution of her character from like dog
Yeah.
shit to like good, and that was probably really rewarding to see for Harley Quinn fans, but I
Yeah.
wouldn't know
I
because
mean,
I've only seen.
I know it. I remember at the time when the movie came out, and I'm sure it's still probably the case that like a lot of Birds of Prey heads like heavily disliked this characterization of Harley, and I don't understand that personally
Right.
because
If
I
anything, it
really
just feels
don't.
like it's like building off of whatever Birds of Prey might have tried to do, you know? Like it very much seems like especially in the scene where she shoots and kills Luna, was his
Yes,
name? It's
yeah,
like
Luna.
you could definitely see that it's like the culmination of
'Cause
something.
if you're lonely,
Why are you saying I'm lonely?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
That
I
was a really
would
great scene.
if I were one of those hardcore Birds of Prey fans, I would be mildly annoyed with people giving credit and attribution to Harley, basically making a 180, quote unquote,
Mhm.
from her character in Suicide Squad to now, even though Birds of Prey really started that narrative. So I
Mhm.
guess I understand the annoyance, but not quite the vitriol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, I don't know. I guess like to me like this, I think you get more of like an actual arc out of Harley with this one.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you do.
Yeah.
You actually
Yeah, you
see
do.
some like recognition, like with her shooting Luna. It's a
Mhm.
very funny, and I think Gunn talked about this in an interview too, where it's like in her own way, she thinks she is doing the right thing. She's just doing it in a really fucked up
Yeah.
way. Like
Right.
like she got so showered in like praise and love and attention by this one guy, and we haven't
Mhm.
seen this version of the character experience anything like that before, so it
Mhm.
makes sense that she would like fall so hard so quickly.
Yeah.
But then the second the guy says something even like mildly uh evil, and like just shoots him right there, and it's
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's
great.
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. It's like you don't need that fucking cheeky audience fourth wall breaking for Harley Quinn to be
Yeah.
funny. It's like little touches like
Oh,
that
this is
to,
a
to
red flag,
people.
huh, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
the movie doesn't freeze frame and have Harley explain, see, I don't like killing kids because I have a kid kick myself, like fucking Birds
Right.
of Prey would do. There's a moment
Yeah.
in the movie
Yeah.
where it's like something would happen, and it's like I already understand why we're here. You don't need to re-explain it.
Yeah, it
Like,
does a very good job of like explaining her stance without necessarily just like talking down to the audience. It's like she talks about like like seeing red flags and stuff, but then she just kind of like devolves into like spouting nonsense. Like, why are you yelling?
yeah,
It's like it handles
like it
it
definitely,
really well. It's very much in
it
character,
definitely.
and it's culminated by that iconic hallway gunfight scene.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that's another. And this is another point where I was like, you guys are like on some fucking drugs or something. Like Birds of Prey fans are on like a special type of dick or something with that movie,
Mhm.
because I remember seeing someone say like, "Oh, this scene has nothing on any of the scenes in Birds of Prey," and I'm like, "You are high." Like
Yeah.
I don't want to like say people are wrong, but Birds of Prey is like the one movie I get really
Yeah.
pretentious about and say, "No, this is fucking dog." Like the fight
Mhm.
scenes in Birds of
Yeah.
Prey aren't even like that bad, I would say. It's just they're not that impressive either.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of
Yeah.
like guys could simply and there is some of this in the javelin scene as well, I will admit. But the
Mhm.
javelin scene like keeps switching itself up, like it keeps switching itself up where like Harley starts out with two guns, and then she switches to hand combat, and then she has the machine guns, and then she grabs the spear, and it keeps like evolving. Whereas
Mhm.
Birds of Prey, it's a lot of kicking and bat swings, and that's
Mhm.
about it. Like that's all it has in its arsenal of tricks until the very
Mhm.
end where
Oh,
he
it's
finally.
the glitter gun too. The glitter gun too. Don't forget the glitter gun.
The glitter
Oh yeah, the
gun,
glitter
yeah.
gun, which like again like doesn't even look that good on its own.
Right.
And it's like she's taking
it's
out a whole
lighthearted.
police station on her own, but then she fights a drunk Renee Montoya, and Montoya is putting up a hell of a fight against her.
Mhm.
So all of a sudden,
Mhm.
Harley lost like all ability.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to the good movie. Sorry,
Back to the good movie.
That's a good movie.
I just like how like focused in she is in that moment as well. Like
Yeah.
she's
Yeah.
clearly like enjoying certain moments, but you see she's like locked the fuck in.
Mhm.
She's like all right, like time to get to work. Like
Yeah.
I'm not
Right.
fucking around anymore. Like I was joking around and stuff, but now it's business.
Mhm.
Mhm. Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
like
I
this
will
is this
say
is
that.
such like a surface level like praise to make, but it really just goes leaps and bounds for the character just by striking that right balance of like seriousness, like oh my god, like I'm so tragic and all that, and like just like leaning into like her insanity, you know.
Yeah.
Um.
That was worded poorly. That was word vomit. I
I
wasn't
get
really.
I get what you mean because like
Mhm.
she definitely is like supposed to be like a more of a comic relief than the other characters, but she's not like
Mhm.
caricature level comic relief where it's just like
Yeah, there's layers, is what I
yeah.
mean.
She definitely has like some lines that like I don't love.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
the
It's
angels
like
are
angels
spooging.
are cheating
Yeah.
on us.
Yeah.
Like that,
They'll
that one I'm
spoon
kind of like
all
okay.
over us.
I didn't come down right now. Oh my god. But
Yeah,
then
that
there's
was the
other
one
moments
like
like
Birds of Prey-esque moment.
yeah.
I'm
But
just
then
I'm
there's
just
other stuff.
imagining the shills being like, "Oh my god, why can't we get more of this?"
That's the Harley I know. And then there's the stuff like the Milton thing where she's like, there was a guy named Milton with us. Like
Yeah.
she
I'm
was
not
like
gonna lie, that was
completely
kind of
oblivious.
funny. Like it kind of got me. Like
Well,
her
Mhm.
joke
that's
didn't
what
get
I'm
me.
saying. Like
Her
that's a
joke
good
didn't
moment.
get me. But
Yeah.
Bloodsport going Milton was still with us. Like it kind of
Yeah. The only thing that kind of felt a little tacked on was in the end where she's like, "Wait, isn't your name Milton?"
Yeah, it did. I always get confused at that part. I'm like, I know like she's supposed to be like kind of ditzy, but like that feels like a step too far. Where it's like, no, like
Yeah,
they
it's
had the
like it's just
conversation
like
about.
bordering on like it makes no sense for the sake of
Yeah,
not making sense.
yeah. It's just for the sake of being like, oh, Harley's goofy. Like
Yeah.
Mhm.
that's another one that kind of like falls flat.
Mhm.
But I do agree, Ty. Like he's like, what the fuck was he gonna do? Like,
Yeah.
just that specific line. And
Yeah.
what makes it like 10 times better is like he is in like all of those shots, but like the camera does not focus on him at all.
Mhm.
Like he's in that like really awesome rain wide shot, but he's like
yeah,
way
but
to
he's
the
like
right.
all the way in the background.
Yeah, like he's way to the right and you just see his silhouette. And like he'll be there like when they're like setting up the bombs and stuff, but like you yourself forget he was there until he gets shot. And so it's just like 10 times funnier when it's like, oh shit, he was with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say, because we've been erring on the side of praise and whatnot. I
Positives,
will
yeah.
say, just to start the negative train, just to start the criticism, the balanced and fair criticism. Don't start crying here. Don't start crying.
Don't touch my
I will
James
say,
Gunn, my Gunny Poo.
um,
Yeah.
I really did not. Upon this rewatch, I, in terms of what you said earlier, Bryce, about like Ayer's Suicide Squad kind of meshing more with the concept of what the
Yeah.
team is supposed to be. Um, I didn't really get that until I was like getting towards like the third act in like Flag's betrayal. I mean, not Flag's betrayal, but like Flag's shot at the mission being a fad doesn't really work for me. Like, like conceptually, it just doesn't work for me because it doesn't make any sense. Like, okay, I can suspend my belief that she's sending off this military guy, and he's like he's a little dumb. He's no Harvard graduate. But he's basically a grunt. He's a grunt. He's Amanda's Waller. He's Amanda Waller's body, basically.
Yeah,
He's her
he's a good guy to put in there just to like lead the grunt team. Like he's a
Yeah.
grunt leader for the grunts.
Yeah.
But I guess what I found really dumb is like when he's like genuinely shocked that like they're just covering up the U.S.'s secrets. Like this
Mhm.
isn't something that the audience would assume is something he's never done, despite the Suicide Squad. Like the whole premise of the Suicide Squad being a Black Ops team that's like, hey, if you mess up, we're going to disavow you completely and not acknowledge your existence. In fact, the whole reason that you exist is to just cover up our dirty little secrets. So him
Yeah.
being shocked, like, what? Waller, no, you
Hey,
allowed this to happen. Like, oh my, like the United States, they're covering up this secret with Starro the Conqueror and Project Starfish.
Yeah, I
And
do
oh my god, all these
see.
innocent people. Like, it just doesn't work.
Yeah, I do
It just
see
makes
what
me
you
dumb.
mean, but for me personally, I interpret it less as him like being appalled that this could possibly be what the mission is about. Oh my god. And more so just the fact that like just in isolation this horrifying thing needs to be told about, and like needs
Yeah.
to like stop being covered up.
I agree
Right.
with Seth on that. Like, I didn't interpret it as him being like floored by it.
Mm-hmm.
I just interpret it as like this was his last straw. Where
Yeah.
he was
Well, I
like,
guess if it
"No,
was
I'm
his last
fucking
straw,
done."
then they could have done better with it other than like Waller just straight like I feel like his last straw should have been Waller abandoning him and just sending him off to die like straight up and not
Well,
really
he didn't really know that. Like I do think there could have
but
been
like
more
someone could have
him
like if
like
someone
trying to put
said
that
that
together.
or if it was implied in some way other than it just being told to the audience and none of the characters, then it would have made sense for me that he was in
If like
shock and awe.
you found out with like the squad or some shit.
Yeah, like if like Bloodsport told him, like, "Oh, you're being set up, mate. Like you're being set up, mate. Like we weren't supposed to see you. We weren't supposed to see you at all, mate."
Oh, you have she's
Something
taking
like
it pace, mate.
so. I don't know. I don't know. I personally didn't find that whole turn compelling because it just means nothing.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like I don't
me.
think like I can't say that I agree that it like doesn't make sense whatsoever, but I
Oh,
will
yeah.
agree that there wasn't like build up to it.
Oh yeah. I definitely do say it probably could have been handled better, but I get it.
I
'Cause
think
it's
it
like
serves its
there's
purpose
a
enough.
solid
It
difference
turned out
between like grunt guy finding out like government secrets and shit, right? But then there's also a solid difference between like the grunt guy figuring out, oh, you're using these fucking alien dudes to like
Yeah.
experiment on fucking people. Okay, this
Mhm.
falls a little out of fucking you know
Living
reality.
in
all
children.
right.
Yeah.
Well, but it's like in the first movie. But like in the first movie, like they were told their whole mission was like to go in and save an important person who could like stop the world from ending
Oh my
in
god.
whatever fake city they made up, but it just ended up being Amanda Waller.
Dude, I
So
remember
like
getting
again,
so
it's
pissed
like
off.
they
I
have
remember getting
done
so
stuff like
pissed
that
off when
where
I
it's
first
really
saw that
shady.
movie.
Like they have done stuff where it's really shady and they put people at risk for a really, really selfish reason. So again, it's just not really all that compelling to me when like okay, like you're a little moved by Starro the Conqueror. I get it. It's like a scary sight. It is like horrific with it's horrific the
Yeah, honestly,
implication
genuinely
that comes.
scary. Genuinely fucking
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, genuinely
Yeah.
fucking scary.
Especially well you think that they're
I
not gonna
feel
like get close up on the guy on like the operating table with like the star taken off his face and it's
Yeah,
just
like
like gore, but
all
then
the
they
people with like
punch in
on
on it.
that are on the operating table, or like the guy that's cut in half, especially
Mhm.
the one where
yeah.
like they already ripped it off and it's like
Mhm.
trying to reattach to the guy.
That's what I'm
Oh,
saying.
that's
Yeah.
that's
Ugh.
it's vile.
Yeah.
I think it would have been at the very least. I would have liked to see an implication that Waller, the real mission for Waller was to just weaponize Starro in some way
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
because she's kind of like obsessed with this idea of the perfect soldier already with Enchantress. So if it ended up being like a retrieval mission as opposed to like a let's cover up everything before it's like too
I
fucked
I
for everyone to find out.
I do think that would have been a
Oh.
good addition. I do
Uh-huh.
think that would have been really
Yeah,
good.
I guess I can see where you're coming from.
I think it is kind of hard to like square that in a way, just like with because like obviously Starro was like so fucking big.
It's huge. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
massive.
But um I do think that would have been an interesting wrinkle to add. I think the reason why I buy into it is probably like just through the performance Joel Kinnaman has in the scene.
Oh yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he is like you can feel how viscerally upset. And like that's why I say it's like he just hit a breaking point where he's
Mhm.
Mhm.
like I've seen her like literally shoot innocent people that like in the first Suicide Squad movie where she shot those people and she's like, "Oh, they weren't cleared for any of this," which doesn't make any sense on its own. But like he just
Yeah.
watched her gun down these innocent people, and like you've
Mhm.
already said, Ty, done so much like government cover up work, and like he just finally hit that point, like with seeing all of these people be like experimented on, and like he said, like children especially,
Mhm.
he was like, "Fuck this."
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
if it wasn't for the fact that Joel Kinnaman sells it as good as he does, I might agree with you. But I think
Mhm.
because he sells it so well, like
Mhm.
I always get invested during that scene where like him and
Yeah.
Peacemaker are going at it. Like I
Mhm.
remember
Yeah.
like my heart like racing during that scene when I first
Oh
watched
yeah.
it. Like I was so
Yeah.
fucking like invested and like
Mhm.
in the moment. And when uh you see that like X-ray shot of the
Mhm.
porcelain like hit it like piercing his heart, and then like
Mhm.
it goes that little bit extra in and you just see the blood like spurt out.
Yeah.
It's like,
Oh my god.
oh, like
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say though, for criticisms for that criticism, I will say it absolutely paid off big. Just like
yeah,
not even within the parameters of the movie, but how it turned out for Peacemaker. Incredible. Um
yeah,
so yeah, I
absolutely.
mean, you know that one little criticism, it really doesn't like negate how I felt about like um
Yeah.
yeah, just how it
I,
turned
I
out
I
for him.
do agree in a general sense with what you're saying. And I
Mhm.
think if the previous movie had done a better job of characterizing him, it wouldn't feel like as big of a deal. But since this very much is in the same continuity as the first movie,
Mhm.
it
Yeah.
Mhm.
it doesn't like when you actually like think about it on a large scale, it doesn't fit as well as you would like it to.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Um, I will
But yeah.
say to add on to the criticism, uh,
Mhm.
on repeat viewings, I do. Um, it's not that I don't feel swayed by it or I don't feel invested in it, but I feel like the kind of like found family stuff is like I don't know if generic is the right word, but it's like it's almost like an inevitability that we were going to get to
Uh-huh.
that spot. Like the moment where they all decide to like go back and fight Starro together. Like
Yeah.
Mhm.
Bloodsport especially, I'm kind of like, I don't know if I buy that he would like be willing to turn around so quickly. Like
Uh-huh.
Ratcatcher,
Mhm.
King Shark, just because like he's that dumb. Uh, Polka Dot
Yeah.
Man, kind of, I can see. Um, but like Bloodsport being the one to like being the main one to turn around is kind of like I wish there was a little bit more to it, and I know it's kind of supposed to be like the daughter thing,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, and I really do like the moment where she's like, "That's my dad," and like sees him on the
Yeah.
TV.
Yeah.
But it definitely feels kind of like, all right, check this box, check that box, we're good.
Right.
Like we have
Yeah.
an R,
It
we have the
definitely does.
found family R.
Yeah, it does. Like you said, it did feel like an inevitability upon rewatch, but
Mhm.
at the same time, just the execution of it and like,
Yes.
what kind of conversations these characters share and like how they spend their time together, and also just like how the actors sell it, just it makes it feel less rote than it otherwise would be.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Like
I
Absolutely.
think
way less.
I think the way that Gunn uh captures character work with bonding and this is partially why I'm like wary / curious / excited for how he does this singular character of Superman,
Mm-hmm.
where every like he doesn't have a team. It's like how do you do character interactions? But
I think
anyway,
he
Right.
might. I think it might like the team is gonna be like Clark, Lois, and Jimmy, and then
right.
like Lex is like a antagonistic fourth. But I think that's gonna be like the team focus, so to speak.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I can see them playing Lex with how fucking what's his name? The
Nicholas
black
Hoult.
guy, from
Oh,
Guardians
what?
3.
Oh, High Evolutionary.
High Evolutionary, thank you. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
but sidetrack, that's a side tangent. But
Oh yeah.
it's the way he does character work is just really, really excellent. And
Yeah.
even though there are like the found family aspect doesn't really work for the squad all that well. Um, I think the way they play it is pretty. The way they
Yeah.
play it is pretty excellent, just in
Yeah.
terms of
Yeah.
Despite that, he still is able to make it work because he is just that good of a storyteller. And
Exactly.
Mhm.
I think in a general sense, and I think it's the movie's secret weapon, is like it's just having so much goddamn fun. Like
Oh
you
yeah.
can
Mm-hmm.
tell how much fun James Gunn had making this movie,
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
with all of like the stunts, like the camera, just how like he's moving the camera. Like there's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of like unnecessary like zoom ins
I was gonna say,
like
like the
throughout
punch-ins
this
are really
movie.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like you can tell he's doing it in like a fun way. Like it's like all very fun and loose,
Yeah.
and you can tell what kind of movie it is the second Savant's head explodes and it forms the
Mhm.
Warner Brothers present or like Warner Brothers movies presents, and like it's just in his
Mhm.
blood,
Yeah.
brain matter. Like that is such a perfect encapsulation of what the movie's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
I will also say,
Yeah.
quick side note, that it is very interesting to see a lot of the stuff from this movie kind of fold over into Guardians 3,
Mhm.
Yeah.
because I feel like we wouldn't have got all that like all the stuff with Rocket and like how visceral that is
Mhm.
if we didn't get this movie first.
Yeah, if it wasn't
Oh
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
like run like completely free with the superhero genre.
Yeah.
I
Like
think like the Suicide Squad kind of it was probably like a not necessarily reality check because I feel like Guardians 3 was already in production or nearing production
yeah.
by the time this was coming out.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of like a bit of like a reality check for Kevin Feige, I imagine. Not necessarily in the sense that like oh like we're losing James Gunn, like they knew that by the time Guardians 2 was coming out, but like
Yeah.
they didn't really fully appreciate or grasp like the kind of visionary he could be, like with no
Yes.
restraint whatsoever. Um, and when he was just given the book, well, because I feel like Guardians 1, he wasn't the writer. He wasn't the sole writer. Guardians
Mm-hmm.
2, I feel like he might have been. But Infinity War kind of fucked him over a little bit,
Mhm.
just in terms of like how certain things worked out. And it still ended up fucking him over a little bit with Guardians 3.
Mm-hmm.
Which I believe he expressed that he was annoyed about. He was annoyed about in Endgame and Infinity War. Um, but Guardians 3 just coming out, like the way it came out, I haven't seen it since last year, but the way it just came out and like being so distinctly different in terms of like style and how he shot everything, and especially how he wrote things. I doubt that he rewrote it, but just with the
I think
way the time has passed naturally in between 2020,
2017 and
Yeah.
2023.
Yeah.
Literally 6
Yeah.
years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like he definitely matured as a writer and person, and I imagine a
Absolutely.
bit of that narrative of like changing and growing up and moving away from the old stuff. I'd like his Marvel firing probably did play a little more into the narrative that we saw in Guardians 3.
I think it
Yeah.
absolutely did. And I know that he said that he had like at least the general outline. I think he had like the general outline for 3 for like a while. But like you said, like it wouldn't have come out the way it did if it wasn't for everything that happened.
Right.
And the movie is all the better for it. I still would say it's definitely obviously like the best movie Marvel's put out like in a while.
Recent memory.
in their recent batch. But I would just argue it's one of the best MCU movies, period. Like I think each
Absolutely.
Guardians movie, you see him like get better and better.
Absolutely.
And it really is going to be very interesting to me if Superman is going to like represent like him at his apex, or if he's going to kind of like have to like
Change it up.
step back down a little bit almost. Obviously
I
not
think
like horribly,
I
but like
think for me,
like step back to reestablish, you know.
I think for me, Superman has to be good enough to justify him being the one to write and direct the first movie. Because I get it.
Absolutely.
I get it. I get it. Like it is your
Mhm.
baby. Like the DCU is your baby. But it
Mhm.
really has he really has to justify being the one to take the book and be the
Yeah.
quarterback on this one. Otherwise he's gonna look really dumb and not wonder why he didn't get a not necessarily better director, but one who could handle that kind of scale. In
Mhm.
terms of like iconicism and whatnot.
And also just like we said, like dealing with like a single main character as opposed to like a team or a family.
Well, he did that. He did that great. I will say he did that great with Peacemaker, and he wrote the entire thing.
That's
Like
true.
amazing with Peacemaker. But I mean, like in terms of like tone and like, kind of striving away from this comedic esque, um,
Mhm.
Well,
it's comedic.
more overtly comedic,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because I'm sure
it is going to
Superman will
be
still be
interesting,
funny, but it probably won't be like
the focal
comedy
point.
funny. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, cuz like a lot of what Gunn has put out has been really good, but
Yeah.
it's also like very much like in his comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
And like I think Superman 2025 is going to be like him kind of almost stepping out of it in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Mixing it up a little.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with what you're saying, Ty, and I think we've even said it before, where it's like, no, this has to like, it can't just be good. It
Mm-hmm.
really
Right.
has to, and I don't want to like overhype it for myself, but like, it
Mhm.
really has to be fucking something.
It
Like,
has
Yeah.
to be like
the,
It has to mean
it has
something.
to justify stomping over one Superman movie in an entire franchise of DC movies to be
Yeah.
this generation's Superman and this generation's DC superhero movies, which is a
Right.
which
pretty
admittedly,
big, but it is what
the universe he was stomping on didn't have much to stand on in the first
right.
place,
But
but
Mhm.
but
they have to change that image. They have to change that image and make it a
Yeah.
complete 180 without
yes.
without being too preachy and going, "Oh, hey, Superman is so cool. He's like the opposite of evil Superman. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't know why everyone
Mhm.
thought he should be evil. Like it shouldn't
Yeah.
be that. If it's that, then
Mhm.
it's gonna look lame and corny and
Yeah. What were
contrived
you
and stupid.
expecting? A black super suit?
Yeah, like like if it's something that's so, if it's just, and I don't think it is, but if it's simply saying Snyder's Superman is gone, we're doing things the
Mhm.
right way, then I think that's really cheap and lame and petty.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah.
That's easy.
But I don't think he'd be someone to do that. I don't think he would do that. I hope he
Mhm.
would do that.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, because like he does deal with satire, but like not as like ham-fisted as that.
Yeah.
Like
And he just
like getting
it
back to
seems
like
like he's
the
fucking
Suicide
back.
Squad, like especially in that movie, it's
Mhm.
like it's rarely like in your face, like
Mhm.
basically talking to the audience. Like no, it's like it's nuanced.
Yeah. It's not the first time he's ripped a franchise from another director. Not ripped, but he's um it's not the first time that he's like done this kind of thing with a franchise and an IP. I hate using
Mhm.
that word, but IP. And he wasn't really corny or weird about it with Suicide Squad, so I wouldn't expect him to suddenly like turn a heel and like be a dick about it with
Mhm.
Superman. Like suddenly, like during like press interviews, he's like, "Oh yeah, like Snyder Superman sucked." Like no, it's like the complete opposite. Like oh my god, what a dumpster fire. Like no, I don't think he'll do. I don't
Yeah,
think
no.
he'll do that. It would
Wait,
be funny if he did, but I don't think he will.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like even just from like all the tweets he puts out about like
Mhm.
answering fan questions and like just like teasing his plans, he very much seems like all encompassing of like different viewpoints. Like, hey, we might not be going for this, but if you think that way, if you about this particular movie, that's
That's
okay.
cool. It's good for you.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, just moves on with his day.
Mm-hmm.
It does crack me up when he does decide to like respond to people.
Yeah.
It's like it'll be like the dumb like recently there was like somebody commented and asked him like, are you canceling the Batman Part 2 and like the whole like plans for that series? And he just said no. Like and to me it's like you don't even need to give that the time of day because it's already such a dumbass question.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is just funny
Yeah,
like what
just
he
like
decides
saying the
to do.
word no says so much. Like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
I think he even put like an eye roll with it. Like he put an eye roll emoji. Like I
Oh,
think
he
he said, "Of
did?
course not." Yeah, like of course not with an eye roll. Because like
Oh,
yeah, it'd be fucking stupid
right.
if they canceled that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I believe that's everything. I mean, that's everything I have personally to say about these
Oh
three movies.
yeah, we really went
Mm.
in depth. Yeah, the 30 on 30 on 30 kind of limit
30 for 30
really.
for 30.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
30 for like 40.
yeah, like the only thing else that's coming to my mind is like there's some nice visual storytelling, especially in like the third act, but that doesn't require its own tangent. It was just very well done.
It's
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Glory to James Gunn.
Where did James Gunn?
Yeah. Behold the voice of God. Waste some kind of regenerate talk, etc.,
What
etc.
so that's it, huh? We just some kind of regenerate talk.
Yeah.
Uh,
Uh,
it's the one thing about Gun Suicide Squad. It doesn't have a memorable line like that, unfortunately.
Hey, you
Yeah.
triangle, bitch.
it does try something
Whatever
like
Will Smith
that
says.
in the Suicide Squad, but like it doesn't come off as like, oh, it's fantastic. Like it can't be memed on, you know?
That is
Yeah.
a crazy. That's a crazy implication that Ayer's Suicide Squad tried to make a memorable line as opposed to not just writing
Holy
something dumb like
Yeah.
just writing like just
I don't know.
really bad writing.
I don't know
And
why.
Joel,
I don't know why the "It's fantastic" made me laugh so hard. But just anytime I think about that scene, it fucking cracks me up. It's so fucking
Yeah.
funny.
What did you
Yeah.
say? What did you say?
it's just
Yeah.
like Ayer's Suicide Squad was just that insistently dumb that there's just memorable lines. It's
Yeah.
just dumb memorable lines.
Yeah,
That's
and
a
like I think
hunga
what
hunga.
it was yeah, and like I think what it was in the Suicide Squad was like, you can't do that. It'll be suicide. And they're like, yeah, that's kind of our thing.
That's
And, like,
Yeah, he's like that's what we do.
yeah, and it's like yeah, and like that's better,
But-
I
and
guess, but
there's-
it's also
yeah.
not like so shitty. It's memeable, you know.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's a good like I think they use in the it's like a good trailer moment where it's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, that's kind of what we do. And then I think there's like the other one is Savant going like, so this is the famous Suicide Squad. And again, it's like it fits the context well enough to where it doesn't sound stupid.
Corny, dumb.
Yeah.
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 The Will Smith line is just so funny because like he just says it like unprovoked. Like Waller gives the brief, and then like the camera hard sets on him, and he's like, "So that's it, huh? We just some kind of Suicide Squad." And then nobody acknowledges that he
capital
says
S.
it, and it's literally just for the trailer.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think what also helps is Will Smith's like complete deadpan delivery. Like I don't think even he was like confident in the lines. It's
Mm-mm.
like, what are we, some kind of Suicide Squad?
That entire scene is just gold because of how many dumb lines there are. Like oh, your
Yeah.
Joker's crazy.
I was literally about to mention the Joker's line.
The Joker, Jared Leto Joker.
I was literally about to mention that y'all jokers must be tripping.
It's just so racist for no reason.
Yeah, and then the is it Phil Jackson? He keeps making Phil Jackson references like randomly. He's like triangle bitch or whatever.
Yeah. Oh
Oh,
my god. Fucking hilarious.
Well, that has been what are we on, like the fucking 4th episode of the DCEU retrospective?
this
yeah,
is,
this-
I don't know.
this is
Yeah.
fourth.
what are we doing next week? Is it Shazam?
It's Aquaman this week.
Well,
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I know.
Aquaman. Womp womp. I won't be on, so
I'm
for
not
all
looking
you,
forward to watching either of those for the first
Yeah.
time.
Guys,
Yeah.
I'm honestly excited to talk about Aquaman 2, admittedly. I'm not excited to talk about the first movie. I hate the first movie. Aquaman 2 is kind of funny. Like it's kind of funny.
I don't know how to feel about this.
Was Aquaman the only DCEU movie to hit like $1 billion at the box office? Or did I make
Yes.
that up?
I think so.
Yeah.
That has got to be that. Wow.
Yeah. Batman
one
vs
hell-
Superman I think made like 700 or 800 million. Aquaman definitely hit $1 billion. Wonder Woman hit like 700 million.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously a lot of the other stuff was like kind of lower budget. Like, oh yeah, Joker fucking hit $1 billion, which wasn't
Yeah.
DCEU.
Yeah,
That
Joker.
was the DCEU. That was the DCEU.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, make sure to make a fucking "he's not from around here" joke for me, will ya?
I think half of that episode is gonna be me singing "Born to Be Wild" because they play it 2 times in Aquaman 2.
Oh wow.
What
Yeah.
I love it. I love it so much. I love Aquaman
it's the
2.
cutie
I'm
pie?
not afraid to say it.
Because she had
I
licensed
love
music.
Aquaman 2, quote of all time. Quote of all time.
I love how stupid it is. It is more enjoyably stupid. than the first movie. It's forgivably shorter too. It's a clean 2 hours.
Oh,
Clean.
know
not
what?
so
I'll
bad.
watch
How
it on
long is the
Juneteenth.
first one?
I'll watch it on Juneteenth.
Like 2.5. It's like 2 hours and 45.
Oh.
Okay. Quick side tangent about Aquaman. I remember for the first fucking movie, they released a 5-minute trailer for it. A 5-minute trailer for the Aquaman movie.
Come on.
Who does that?
Yeah.
Does that?
And it was like, I think it was a few months before it even came out. Like, just let the
Mhm.
movie come out. Release a
Yeah.
normal trailer. Release a 5-minute preview, basically. And it summarized the whole plot. Like, I already knew everything that was going to happen. It showed off his fucking
Seriously?
suit and everything. Yes. Dude, look it up. Look up the 5-minute Aquaman trailer.
Oh,
And it literally has the suit reveal in it and everything.
wow.
Everything.
It's funny,
Oh!
like you're talking about like this like 5-minute trailer, and I believe you because DCEU, but I just don't remember ever seeing that. Ironically, I just remember seeing like the same like 10-second scene of like they're like in a plane or something, like Aquaman and Mera, and it's like he's like
Yeah.
redheads, am I right? And she's like, oh you.
Redheads, am I right? Was he wearing a parachute? No, sir, he wasn't.
Oh man. But yeah, man, Aquaman, fucking Jason Momoa, fucking
Oh
One
boy.
more. And then
Yeah.
I'll be back the week after that for Black
Black
Adam. Black Adam.
man, Black Adam.
Black Adam.
We are not going to talk about Shazam. We are not fooling anyone. This is gonna be.
No,
We're going to-
no.
We're not
It's
going
gonna
to
be.
talk.
It's gonna be mostly Black Adam. It's gonna be mostly
Yeah,
Black
no,
Adam.
we're going
I
to.
think
We're going to admit
Shazam
that we
2 is gonna
watched
be
them.
severely overlooked.
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to admit that we watched those movies, but we are not going to actually talk about them. Yeah.
It'll be
Right.
Yeah, no.
it'll be 2.5
Right.
hours of Black Adam talk.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It'll just be us
That
saying
has
Black Adam,
been
Black Adam.
Regenerate Talk. I've been Teriyaki Asian, and I'm glad that you came. That if you made it this far for listening to us talk about mediocre movies and a slightly okay one.
Yeah.
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 Yep.
All right.
Triangle,
See you-
bitch.